Welcome to this week's Set of Six, the weekly news show where we share the good, the great and the noteworthy Rugby League outside the heartlands. My name's Craig.
And my name's Karl. The Las Vegas teams have been announced. We're going to look at the Challenge Cup results and we're going to dive into this crazy new rugby-related sport. Run it straight and get concussion.
As always, we've got 6 interesting news stories that we're going to share with you today, and you're going to get our response and our reaction as the news unfolds. We're going to kick off with tackle 1 then, and it's a crazy, crazy sport. You sent me a link to this, Karl, and I couldn't quite believe what I was seeing. In a time when concussion and head knocks are just constantly in the news, taking the top headlines, and the game is... Rugby League is making rules and protocols to protect our players. One sport is doubling down on it, right? And it makes for an interesting view, but I'm not sure if it's got any longevity to it.
Yeah, it's like, right, let's get a load of Pacific Islanders that are like trucks, and we're just going to fire them at each other and see who comes out on top. Yeah, this is the new sport in Australia called Run It Straight. I believe it's called Run It Straight. And basically, one guy has a ball, the other guy... Doesn't. They run at each other from about 10 metres away, and the winner is basically the one that is still standing after the collision. It's absolutely mental. I'm going to show you a clip of it. Here it is. Right, here we go then, Craig.
Right, straight away you can see it's absolute units. It's like sumo with
this
a rugby
guy's
ball.
got an head guard on, but he hasn't strapped you. There he goes, knocked out.
Look at that. It just cleans him out.
So that was like round 1.
Look at the attitude as well when he cleans him out. Oh, look, they're doing a proper boxing style. Yes, the winner.
Here we go.
Bosh.
Well, at least they're still standing after that. Oh, no, here we go.
Both of them on the arses.
Knockout again.
Jesus Christ, cleaned him out.
Absolute concussion gate, this play. What they're shoving smelling salts under his nose.
But they just led with a forearm there to the face. I mean, jeez. Look at this. Oh, Mrs. Thanks for surviving.
Here we go. George Burgess is in.
He's in with his top knot.
I think this were one at the end, I think. At least he's got his gum shield in. Have that.
Burgess wins.
I don't even think he won that. Oh, yeah, maybe he did.
Right, so as we said, our initial reaction, if you haven't seen this, then one, I don't know how, because it's been all over the social media, channels and groups and stuff like that. But 2, I mean, you got to look at it straight away. One thing it's got is the shock factor. Do you know what I mean? And also, it almost becomes... We've been talking about how do we make rugby league like the darts, like a crucible event, like the T100 in cricket. You know what I mean? Something short, sharp, fast, that spectators can turn up, have a booze, you know what I mean? Stacks of action without all the video... referee crap that's slowing the game down and all this kind of stuff. And is this it?
I don't know. I mean, I love watching a big hit in rugby league. We all do, don't we? You get big tackle, crowd goes wild. I don't know what it is. Like I watch that and then it just I don't know. I don't enjoy it. I personally don't enjoy it, but I know that loads of people do. So I actually put a poll out on Twitter and I was like, right, outsiders, give me your opinion on this sport. What do you actually think of it? And it came back as like straight up 50-50 replies.
Really?
Some people were like, yeah, absolutely love it. If rugby league can capitalise on this, then why not? And other people were like, it's just barbaric and there's no skill involved. It's literally whoever's the heaviest and has got the best shoulder shot is going to win. I personally, I don't enjoy it. I think it's pretty crap to watch, to be honest with you.
Well, to be honest, I'm a little bit of an agreement, and I don't like agreeing with you. I like to have a little bit of conflict on the show, but I do agree with you. You mentioned barbaric. That's the word you used. I would go a step further and say idiotic.
Yeah, it's definitely idiotic.
You know, and I know, just to put a bit more context on this, George Burgess was saying, look, you know, we need to sort some rules out, you know, and we need to tidy things up a little bit, but it could make for a really interesting sport. My thing is like, well, maybe, but like once you've watched it once and you've seen people getting cleaned out, do you then want to watch it again?
Round after round after round.
Does it then become a little bit awkward? You know, it's like, I've seen it now. You know, like how much more to make it more interesting, like the head's got to come off or something like that. You know what I mean? And it's just not, it's not a great...
So someone put, I think Mark Austin put in our comments, he was like, rugby league is so great because, and when you do get a big hit, it's because there's options available. There's the runners got to evade the tackler at different angles, at different speeds. Well, you're just running straight on at each other like that. It does nothing. It does nothing for me. I don't like it. I just...
Yeah. Okay. So we're both having a bit of a dig at this then.
Pretty much. But I know loads of people will disagree with us. So you may wait till you see the comments lining up on this. Because people love to see a big hit, and like State of Origin. We all love watching State of Origin. It's like smashing the hell out of each other. But I don't know. You just put it in that sort of environment, and it's just a straight up 10-metre track running at each other. It's just crap.
Well, quick one then. So George Burgess talked about needs improvements, needs tidying up, some rules and that kind of stuff. How can you make it a bit more of a spectator sport and take away that rubbernecking, watching a car crash type
I'd probably
thing?
make the field about 100 metres. I'd have 13 men on each team with substitutes. We play 40-minute halves.
Right.
You get 4 points for a try, 2 points for a kick, 1 point for a field goal.
I can see where you're going with this.
Yeah, it just don't have any place for me. It reminds me of like, have you seen that slap it sport? It just reminds me of that. I don't know why. There's like, I don't know, there's no skill involved. There ain't no skill involved, is there?
Well, I'm sure there is some skill involved. But I know what you're saying.
Slightly.
I mean, definitely favours the... What about weight classes? Do you think that'd make...
I don't know if they already have them. I think to be fair, I think they just went and got all the biggest guys they could find. It's like, right, who's the biggest idiots we can find and just get them a charge at each other.
Yeah. I mean, and also, like, how many times can you do that as an athlete, and before you sort of go, I just can't do this anymore.
I just hope Rugby League doesn't ever. Rugby League won't sanction this. They'll never.
No way.
They'll never put the.
I don't even know how they're getting insured for it or anything, like that.
Well, that brings up another thing completely, doesn't it? When we talk about Rugby League and how Rugby League's struggling to get insured because of head knocks and all that they're getting, and then you watch boxing and MMA and stuff. It's like, how are they getting insured?
Yeah. Very different. Right, okay, this is a two-way thing, so we need your comments on that as well. What do you think of Run It? Do you think it's a good spectacle, or do you think it's a little bit like watching a car crash? Let us know. Stick your comments down below. We'll wait. To tackle two, it wasn't just the weather that was red hot this weekend. Some of the rugby was spectacular as well. Wigan in the women and Wyatt in the men's both stun in the Challenge Cup final, Cal.
Yeah,
wrong. Challenge Cup semi-final. Jesus, getting ahead of myself.
Properly cocking up here. Yeah, Leeds Rhinos 14, Wigan Warriors 44. I think this was probably, out of all four fixtures, the biggest turn up for the Bucks. Dennis Betts' side has been gradually getting better and better each year. Leeds Rhinos and the women have lost quite a lot of players. We've had a bit of an exodus, haven't they? Some have gone to Saints. I think a couple might have gone to York as well. So, and it really showed, didn't it? Leeds Rhinos just weren't at the party against Wigan. And yeah, Wigan have cemented their place in that final. And actually, a side note, this is actually good for the Challenge Cup final itself, because you've got different clubs at the Challenge Cup final. Yeah,
I remember, we listened to Dennis Betts in the after-match press conference, and he was saying, look, our aim is to cement ourselves as a top four side.
Yeah.
And I think this score in the Challenge Cup semi-final perhaps is the flag, is the sign. It is the moment where they suddenly realise their event horizon or whatever, where they go, no, we compete on the highest level. We are top 4 teams. Now the next thing we need to set our sights on is winning trophies, winning the cup, and cement ourselves as a top 1 or 2 side.
And brings up a Wigan Saints final as well, which is really exciting. I think looking at the Saints side, we'll go a little prediction here, early prediction. Who do you think's going to win? You think Saints have still got too much, been there, done it, got the T-shirt, or do you think Wigan might be able to pull an upset?
No, I think Saints have got too much pedigree.
Yeah,
I really do. I think they've been at this a long time. Not taking away what Wigan do, but you look at some of the players in there. Pretty much most of the England side are in that Saints team, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's going to be too much. I wish Wigan all the best, but I do at this moment in time think Saints are going to take that win.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so so that's the reaction there from the Challenge Cup semi-final. We did go much deeper into this in our prediction video, which is on the channel already. So seek that out. We'll stick a link in the comment down below as well. So good games. Moving on then. Tackle 3. So rapidly becoming the must-attend rugby league event in the world. Vegas hit the headlines this year with a bumper crowd. You was out there, Karl, had an incredible time. And we've had Hull FC, Saints and Huddersfield Giants all missing out. But we've got 2 names out there, big teams that are going out to Vegas.
Leeds Rhinos and Hull Kingston Rovers are going to Vegas. And I'm telling you now, if you're a fan of these 2 sides, get on the internet right now and book your flights, because I'm telling you, the prices will shoot up like they did last year. 2 sides that I think good choices. I really think good choices. Hull KR, as I keep saying all year, such an entertaining side. Leeds Rhinos, they're definitely one of the biggest clubs in Super League. They've got a massive fan base, financial district in Leeds. There's a lot of money behind that club. It's a team you want to get into Vegas, isn't it?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the split was on on-field performance and how much of a rugby spectacle it's going to be, and actually commercial benefit to the actual event. And sort of see why were these teams selected? Between Hull FC, Hull KR, Leeds Rhinos, Saints, Huddersfield Giants. Obviously outsiders, but you know what I mean. Still submitted a bid to go out there, and I also wonder why the other teams didn't put in to go out there, and how Wigan and Warrington feel. Now they've been.
I imagine there's quite a large financial cost to going out there. I think Wigan and Warrington sort of had conversations with all the other clubs, didn't they? And sort of told
this is what we did.
This is what we did. This is what it's going to cost. This is where you got to stay. This is this fan events on. Blah blah blah. And little bit of interruption to your actual regular season as well. I think if everything ramps up to Vegas, doesn't it?
Well, Warrington, you could argue, almost never recovered from that.
Yeah,
potentially.
Yeah. I mean, Sam Burgess got fed up, didn't he? Literally threw his toys out of the pram a little bit. He got fed up of people asking him about Vegas about 4 or 5 weeks after Vegas, and that's because Warrington's inconsistencies just carried on they've carried on all season, haven't they, really? And it feels like they've never quite got going since Vegas. I think there's such a lot put on it. So yeah, that's something definitely to take into account.
Right, okay, something else to also take into account is actually getting out there. Now, we have done a little bit of I want to say a deep dive, but let's call it quick Google search. And we've come up with a bit of a package for you for the early birds that definitely want to get out there. We're going to come on to that in the Williams Weekly at the top of the show, so stick around for that. The women's game snubbed as well, Karl.
Yeah, the women's game was a disaster, wasn't it? I mean, let's call it what it was. It was an absolute disaster. The NRLW teams are so far ahead of the Women's Super League in this country now that I think they were never going to do that again. The other thing I would say, 4 games was too many. 4 games was definitely too many. And I thought that before I even went. I was like, that is a long time to suspend in a stadium. However, there's so much going on around the ground that you can go up to, there's bars all around the place. There's like this brilliant deck at the top of the stadium where they've just got DJs on. There's a massive bar. All the fans just like congregate up there. It's like a big party almost. It's like a side party to what's actually going on the pitch. But 4 games are definitely too many. I can understand why they've got rid of the women's game. I hope that the women's game does come back though. Eventually, we've got to make sure we've got a bit more of an even matchup, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if I do want the women's game out there. I'd like to see a championship game out there. I know the financially. Hear me out. Right, Oldham, Sean Long in Vegas. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see.
That's the old Sean Long, though, isn't it? Come on. Do you know what would be interesting? See the women's state of origin there.
Yeah,
that I think that could work. I mean, you've got to be honest. Like it's all about commercial value, isn't it? It's how many tickets they can sell. So they've clearly gone for I think the biggest teams that they can get in there with the biggest fan bases, and obviously they want to announce another record crowd next year.
Yeah, you could state that, but I also, and obviously, in talking about like the getting out there, the travel arrangements, hotels, and all that kind of stuff, we're going to get some tips from Karl. Having been out there this year, and so if you haven't been to Vegas and you just want a few tips on making sure that you get the best experience out there, where to go, that kind of thing, how to go about your business, then stay tuned for that. What we haven't mentioned so far, though, is the Aussie teams, Karl, and bit different turn. Some different teams out there next year.
Yeah, so they never take the same side there twice. So there were only so many sides that could be picked from. So we've got Canterbury Bulldogs, St George Illawarra, Newcastle Knights, and the North Queensland Cowboys are all going to be there. Canterbury Bulldogs, I mean, I could be getting this wrong. I hope I'm not getting this wrong. I believe they're one of the biggest supported sides in the NRL. So I think that's... You watch when they play like the Bunnies, they get like some of the biggest crowds. They fill the Sydney Stadium almost, don't they? They get massive crowds, so no surprises why they've picked them to go.
Well, you say you're worried, if you've got that wrong. Don't worry, because our Aussie viewers will definitely they love to point out when we've got it wrong. So no doubt they'll let you know. So don't worry about that.
Yeah, I made myself popular with Aussies, haven't I, the last few weeks? But as I keep saying, mate, it's an Ashes year, so the gloves are off this year. It doesn't matter.
Right, other sides then, Karl?
Newcastle, St George Illawarra, and North Queensland Cowboys. All great sides.
Whilst we're talking about Aussie games or Aussie teams, obviously news coming out of Australia this last couple of days that Mike Nicholson is going to need serious sort of surgery on his ankle there, which is sad news, and wish him a speedy recovery because he was doing really, really well out there.
He wasn't just doing well, he was ripping it up, mate. I was itching to see him put on an England jersey at the end of this year and rip it up in the Ashes, but might not happen now, sadly.
Karl, just going back slightly, so you were talking about like women's state of origin, but another way that you could perhaps improve the spectacle that is the Vegas trip is perhaps including it with the World Club Challenge, and they haven't done that this year.
You know what? You made such a great point there. That would have been awesome, wouldn't it, to have the World Club Challenge? The only thing with that, you can't plan in advance, can you?
No, you can't.
Because you literally, at the end of the season, you're just going, right, it's Penrith and Wigan are playing each other. And it doesn't give fans much time to save up. You're dropping on it at really short notice. So it's probably why they haven't done that. They've got this announcement out nice and early now. People can start getting the flights booked, getting the hotels booked, and saving for it. Let's face it, it ain't cheap in Vegas.
I mean, is there an argument? Is it feasible that a pot of money from the event could be put to one side to supplement perhaps accommodation or supplement the teams? At least get the teams out there, because obviously the teams can't plan financially either. Maybe not. And you could maybe.
The NRL's a business, isn't it, mate? It's a business. That's something like that'd get messy. Yeah, I think I have heard. There was a bit of a rumour going around. I can't remember which journalist posted it, but there's talk of the World Club Challenge taking place after the grand finals.
Right.
This year, next year.
Now that'd be interesting, wouldn't
it? Yeah, I mean, and definitely don't allow enough time for fans to get themselves to Australia or Australians to get over to the UK. But I don't think it'd matter. I think if you knew that like Penrith were flying over to play Wigan 2 weeks after the grand final, well, mate, we'd get a big crowd in the UK for that, whether it'd have a load of Aussie fans there or not. I think it'd sell. And they're aligning everything, aren't they? The NRL and Super League. If you notice, like Magic Weekends are taking place at the same time. We've got the season kicking off in Vegas now at the same time. It's coming. Everything's coming in sync a lot better. The international calendar's taking a bit more control of what we do at the end of the season. So, yeah, maybe that's the next step. We have Vegas to open up the season, but then after that, we get the World Club Challenge right at the end of the season. That'd be incredible if they can make that work.
Yeah, it would be. But I mean, look at the grand final, the Super League grand final. Like people just get the ticket, or a lot of people get the ticket regardless of what team's there.
Oh yeah.
So some people go, like, you take a Huddersfield fan, a Castleford fan, they might get their grand final tickets knowing damn well their club's not going to be there.
Yeah.
Praying, hoping, but there's a good chance they won't be. So, and the World Club Challenge would still have that draw, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So, like you say, you could definitely sell that out. Anyway,
we keep saying, don't we? Sport is international these days. You got to look outside the box, and having the international. We may not have the biggest international game in the world, but if we can involve the club sides on an international stage, I'm all for that, and we got to capitalise on the World Club Challenge as well. Just throw our weight behind it.
Right, if you're enjoying this or any other the content that we produce, please subscribe to the channel. It really does help us grow the channel, but also give us an indication that what we're doing you're enjoying, and that's the best bit of feedback that you can give us. Right, moving on. Talking about internationals, Karl. An import from Union to the 13-a-side game, and we've got it. You bring skill, pace, and try-scoring ability. But is he going to be able to cut it in rugby league?
Yes.
Talking about Christian Wade.
Yeah, Christian Wade is Wigan bound. I think we're going to see him in a Wigan. Well, we're not going to see him in a Wigan shirt, are we, straight away? But he's due at Wigan, I think, in June. I just thought we'd have a little look at his career and also have a look at some other rugby union, rugby league cross converts that have played. Christian Wade, what do you know about him?
Well, I know he's a former American footballer.
Yes,
I know
mate.
he's a current rugby union star. He's absolute try-scoring ninja.
Yes.
I understand that he's signed for Wigan, due any minute. I've got a couple of questions with that. The first one being, like, is he going to be able to cut it? I mean, he's clearly an ultimate athlete. To be able to transcend numerous sports, he's got such physical attributes and ball playing mind that, I'd like to think that he could. He's not like, I go back to when Castleford signed the sprinter, I can't remember his name, but stick it in the comments down below. And, you sort of think, right, he's rapido, but he didn't really cut it. He had a terrible, terrible time.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be like that, is it?
He couldn't catch a ball.
No,
That's why,
he couldn't.
No, but Christian Wade's, he's already got the rugby skills, mate. I've watched quite a lot of him on highlight reels and stuff like that. When it was announced he was coming to Wigan, I was like, right, I'm going to do a bit more digging into him. I've watched some of his highlight reels. I think he's made to be a rugby league player, mate. He's got size, he's got speed, he's got skill. I'm really interested to see how he goes. And like I say, he's one of these like once in a generation players. Like a Sonny Bill comes along and he can just turn his hand to any sport. He scored 90 tries in the Rugby Union Premiership. Right, that's the second highest ever.
Ever?
Do you know who he's behind? Chris Ashton.
Really?
Yeah. I think Chris Ashton's got 11 more than him. Yeah, 11 tries behind Chris Ashton's record. Another rugby. I know it's the opposite way around, but it's another guy that could turn his hand to multiple sports. So yeah, quite an interesting little stat that. He's played 3 years. He was at Buffalo Bills NFL for 3 years. He didn't actually get that much game time.
No.
But when he played, he absolutely lit it up. And it's a little bit strange that he didn't get more game time than he actually did, because there's some clips out there, if you watch them, like the American commentators absolutely loved him. He just lit up the stage. That brings me on to, in summary, I think he's going to do well. I actually think we'll see him in a Wigan shirt. And I think Matt Pete will get the best out of him. Who makes way for him? I have no idea.
Well, this is my second question, was like, who's giving up their shirt to allow this rugby union convert? Imagine Wigan have got a history of taking these union converts and turn them into stars. Think Martin Afire, for an instant example. But yeah, who gives up the shirt? I mean, I don't think Liam Marshall's stepping to one side. Neither do I think he should step to one side, because he's just a prolific performer.
Yeah.
So that, it only leaves one flank, really.
Yeah. Right. So we'll have a look at some other players who've gone cross-code, and we'll just have a little discussion about them. And while we're here,
can we just before we do that, just let us know how you fit Christian Wade into your Wigan side. All right. So just you get down in the comments, and let us know where you squeeze him in, how you use him, and how you get the best from him. Because I'm really, really interested to hear that.
Yeah, so I thought we'd have a look at sort of players who've crossed code, like league players that have gone to union players that have gone to league.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you, I don't remember that many players that came rugby union to rugby league. I certainly know a lot of examples that gone the other way. Chris Ashton, for one. Jason Robinson absolutely ripped it up. Do you know when Jason Robinson went to rugby union, I genuinely thought his career would kind of over.
Really?
Yeah, it was in his Wigan. I thought he's losing a little bit of speed. He's not going to be in that Wigan side for much longer. He went to rugby union, absolutely ripped it up. Before you know it, he's World Cup winner, scored that try in the World Cup final, didn't he? And had an amazing career. England rugby union. So Gareth Thomas, he is one rugby union to rugby league convert that I found. So Gareth Thomas, Wales international. Came to play league, didn't he? I can't remember. Did he do 1 season, 2 seasons?
Yeah,
I think he was at.
He only did a couple.
He was at the Crusaders, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I definitely remember him featuring for Wales in the Rugby League World Cup. I think he probably at the latter end of his career, though, wasn't he, at that point? So he did all right.
Of course, there was loads in that era where rugby league was formed. There was loads, weren't there? That came in them.
Yeah.
We ain't gone back to those times. So anyone that's going, you forgot bloody Arthur Van Winkle in 1932 or something
there'll be absolutely loads. One that I do remember very well, Iestyn Harris.
Yeah, yes.
So he rugby league man, won he with Leeds Rhinos, had an amazing career with Leeds Rhinos. Went to rugby union, I think Cardiff Blues he went to, and he also played for Wales Rugby Union. And then he came back, didn't he? He switched back and he came to Bradford. And we all know what happened there. Came back to Bradford. There was a clause in his contract that Leeds Rhinos had a clause in his contract. They said if he ever comes back to rugby league, Leeds Rhinos get the first
dibs on him.
First dibs on him. Bradford thought, no, we know better. We'll fight this in court or whatever. It went to court. Leeds Rhinos got a shitload of cash off Bradford, and then Bradford's demise started. That's pretty much, that was the demise of Bradford Bulls. Iestyn Harris, thoughts, great player?
Oh, incredible player of an era where, Leeds were just starting to become dominant as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they signed the likes of Jamie Peacock, similar time, and there's a definite turning point. So, quality player. Who else you got on the list? Because I've got a couple of people that I don't think you've got on your list there.
Martin Afire.
Obvious.
Israel Folau.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think of him.
Yeah, Melbourne Storm, Brisbane. Yeah, played for Aussie Wallabies. Yeah, awesome player. And I've got one wildcard that hasn't switched to rugby league.
Right.
And he's often been spoken about. I thought I'd just bring this one up. Would Owen Farrell have made it in rugby league?
Well, it's funny you say Owen Farrell because you've forgot Andy Farrell went to rugby union. Sam Burgess had his tried it hand at rugby union.
Yeah, true.
And there's one other person I was thinking, Kevin Sinfield had a go.
I don't remember Kevin Sinfield. Oh, did he go Leeds Tykes?
Yeah, his final season I think was with Leeds Tykes. I don't know how he did because I don't follow Leeds Tykes. Well, even this year he was talking about Owen Farrell signing for Wigan, and it's big news, wasn't it? You know what I mean? Didn't come to anything, but it would be interesting to see.
That rumour's been going around every single year since he's been playing, and I often thought that there was a little bit of some rugby union fans never really took to Owen Farrell, did they? And I often thought, I wonder if it's because he is from that league background, isn't he? Obviously, his dad,
the league pedigree, yeah.
Yeah, dad was an absolute rugby league legend, and I often wonder whether there was a little bit of something in that there. Looking at him then, do you think he would have made it?
Do you know, I don't know. I think they get, because you look at Sam Burgess, right?
Yeah.
He had a fucking terrible time.
No, he didn't, right? He didn't. Sam Burgess went from playing rugby league, and within for 6 months he was an England international. That ain't a terrible time, mate.
No, but
you can just switch from one.
If you were to set the world alight, don't you? And he didn't set the world alight.
Because they didn't give him enough. He actually played fine. England Rugby Union needed a scapegoat, and that's what happened with Sam Burgess. He did actually do pretty well.
Right.
And he was still learning the.
So you saying that every league convert will do well at Union? I know I say every, and that's probably too.
There aren't many that I've seen go over there and haven't done that well. Like they say, oh, Sam Burgess flopped at Rugby Union. Did he? He spent played 20 odd games and was in the England international side and played in a World Cup. You're telling me that's a flop when he didn't have enough time, didn't Sam Burgess, to develop. I think they rushed him into that World Cup squad. It was like, right, we've spent all this money, get him in the World Cup squad straight away. I think a lot of league players do succeed when they go to Rugby Union. I think Henry Paul did pretty well. I mean, Robbie Paul, he went to Harlequins as well. He did well. There's been a lot of cross-code swaps that have worked.
Yeah, well, I mean, and let's look at the grassroots, right? Just like that transition. I see a lot of people come from Union, especially here in the Midlands. Try a league, love it.
Yeah,
right. I've not come across many people that have been a league player, tried Union, and loved it.
Yeah, well, you know why they got a Union, don't they?
Yeah, no, yeah,
the cash,
of course. But I don't. I'm talking about grassroots level and actually the sport itself. You know what I mean? Like people, they play Union because that's the predominant sport in their area. They try a league and go, I've been missing this sport. This is the sport I wanted when I was 8-year-old and was looking for something to do. You know what I mean? I haven't seen it much the other way. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm doing a bit of a Steve McNamara, seeing things that aren't really happening. More on that in the next tackle. What do you think? You've played both codes.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. I didn't mind Union, but it wasn't my game.
No, that's what I'm saying to you. People don't mind it. You know what I mean? But there's a little bit of it's similar, but they don't love it.
It was all right if I got to play 9 or play 10, but if they stuck me out in centres or on wing, and there's a reason, mate, that their shorts have got pockets.
Put your gum shield in it.
We've done it again, haven't we? What?
Slagging off Union.
Yeah, let's move on, mate. Anyway, let me go back to Owen Farrell. I don't think you really answered my question.
What was the
question?
I
said, do you think Owen Farrell could have made it in Rugby League?
No, my point was I don't know. I don't know enough about Owen Farrell, and I don't know enough about Union. I don't know. And I've seen it where people do come across and don't do well.
All right, I'm going to stick my neck out here. I'm going to say I think Owen Farrell would have made a great rugby league player. Genuinely, I think.
Why? What attributes?
His defence is second to none. He has brilliant defence. When you watch a lot of rugby union nines,
but I don't. Carry on.
Right. Okay. Defensively, they go a little bit missing. They hide out the back. They don't get stuck in. Owen Farrell, I'm telling you now, he drops people on their arse. Yeah. He's got solid defence. He's always had really good defence. Was
Johnny Wilkinson the same? I seem to
Johnny Wilkinson was exactly the same. Johnny Wilkinson, another player I reckon could have probably come over a league and succeeded. Owen Farrell is a great organisational player. He reminds me a little bit of a Harry Smith, We don't mind taking the ball in, and obviously he's got a kicking game that could rival anybody in rugby league. I think he could have made it.
Right,
and I actually wish we had have seen him play league.
Is it done deal now? It's not happening.
He's a bit old now, isn't he?
Well, this is another thing that my point of view is maybe he's past it now. So I don't know. Another one. Stick it in the comments. There's loads for you to be chatting around and giving Karl shit. I mean, getting your point across.
How come it's always me that is getting shit anyway? What's going on here?
Well, because you're the expert, mate. I'm the host. You're the expert.
2 weeks ago, you claimed that Parma Violets were the best fucking sweet. That's the only shit you've ever had in the comments.
I like, I know what these people want. I know what they want to listen to. Like you troll them half the time. Anyway, we're getting off the ball here. Have we done with
I'm just gonna
Christian Wade story that's ended up on Owen Farrell?
Just last point, just to completely my little Bevan French story's gathering momentum in it.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. So some of like what we call the proper journos are picking it up and starting to run with it, aren't they? You're going to make this happen, mate. Like the Jared Samet thing.
Do you know what I'm going to do before I end of this season? I'm going to get in front of Bevan French in a press conference. I'm going to ask him, I'm going to say, look, we've had 200,000 views on this video on TikTok. People want you to play for England. Get that shirt on, lad.
Right, let's move on then. So next up, Steve McNamara sparked a conversation this weekend at the Challenge Cup semi-final. He made out that he felt his team was hard done by because they get significantly less penalties than other teams, especially when they're playing on mainland UK. So we're going to dive into this. How much effect does a crowd have on the referee? And does Steve McNamara have a point?
Well, loverugbyleague.com have put a poll together. Not a poll. They've collated all the penalties that have happened when teams are playing at home.
Right.
So here's the stat for you, Craig. 9 out of 12 teams have received more penalties when they're playing at home than when they're playing away.
So the trend
what does that tell you? It tells you that the referees are influenced by the home crowd a little bit.
Yeah, so let's balance those numbers out a little bit. So if it was, mind you, we need to look at the away penalties as well to be able to do like a bit of an unbiased check of this, because it don't give us the full story, does it?
No, but we'll run with this for a minute.
Of course we will, because otherwise we wouldn't have a story.
So Steve McNamara, I think he basically was moaning about Hull KR wanting the amount of penalties that they.
No, I think he was moaning about the referees and the.
Yeah, but he did actually mention Hull KR, and he says, Hull KR received more penalties when they play at home. I'm sure he did.
Right.
And he's actually bang on, mate. So whenever Hull KR are at home, so far this season they've received. This doesn't include Magic Round, by the way, and it doesn't include Challenge Cup fixtures. So in the Super League, when Hull KR have been at home, they've received 30 penalties in their favour against 13.
Wow.
So it is actually it's a
thing.
Yeah.
But it's not. But it might not be a thing. Right. This is my point, right? Because I think Hull KR being the pinnacle at the table, the top of the table right now, they put so much pressure on teams that they induce penalties.
Yeah, I was going to say, and could you also say that Hull KR are one of the fittest teams in the league?
100%.
And therefore, when they're playing against other teams that they are
too fast,
more often than not beating, the other sides are giving away penalties because they're trying to slow the game down.
Here's a prime example. Mikey Lewis, in the dying minutes of the game at the weekend, he took it in. There was nothing happening, right? He took the ball into the line, right? Rapido play of the ball, penalty.
Yeah.
Right. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. You had tired defenders, big middles, and they were just all over him, and he got the penalty there. And that's the kind of thing that we can't measure in this poll. But it's an interesting talking point. Let's keep it going.
Second side, most penalties at home, just over the bridge, mate. Hull FC.
Yeah.
29 penalties in their favour.
Well, hang on a minute. So carrying on with my argument then, could you say that Hull FC are one of the fittest sides? I don't know. Could you say that they apply the pressure that Hull KR do? Definitely not. So maybe that proves this. What I'm saying there.
Could you say that their fans are the loudest and influence the referee?
100%.
Yeah.
Right, I like it. Let's keep it going then. So,
But
yeah.
Mr. McNamara, who do you think was third?
Oh, shit.
Catalan Dragons.
Is this where the wheels come off?
This is where the wheels come off. Well, they do and they don't. So Catalan Dragons have received 28 penalties when they're at home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but we've heard these stories of being in France.
Yeah,
Hostile.
But they've 25 penalties have gone the other way in the other team's favour.
Because it's a penalty fest in France.
Yeah, so it's only a swing of like 3. So there's absolutely...
it's not.
There's not much in that, is there? Which side... I'll tell you, there's 2 teams who, when they play at home, have given away more penalties than they've received. Do you know who those 2 sides are?
I'm going to go Huddersfield.
Yeah, bang on, mate.
Reason being, last year we was talking about the Tour here toss. You remember that from last season?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, they just seem to be, and they're constantly frustrated. I think they're constantly frustrated, and that has an effect. Who else? And I'd say probably another lower level team like Cass, maybe. I think Cass.
Yeah, Castleford.
Cass.
Yeah,
right.
So Castleford have received 23 penalties and given away 24. So a swing of 1.
Yeah.
And Huddersfield have received 15 penalties in their favour, but given away 16, so another swing of one. Which side, here we go. Which side have received the least amount of penalties at home? This will shock you.
Received penalties, awarded penalties or given away penalties?
Actually, both. Just the lowest amount of penalties you receive or give away happen on this ground.
Do you know what?
Team?
I'm gonna go purely because I think they deserve a little bit of credit for being a clean team, in my opinion. I'd say Wakey.
Wakey are near there. Wakey have received 22 penalties and given away 20. The side that's actually at bottom is Wigan.
So Wigan have been awarded the least and
given away
the least.
So they've received 14 penalties at home.
That is surprising.
And they've given away 14 penalties.
I don't know why it's surprising.
And that's compared to like Hull KR at the top of this table.
Yeah.
It's like nearly double. Yeah, it just surprised me, that has.
Yeah, I mean,
what do we take away from that?
Right, what I take from that,
nothing.
I can extrapolate something, right? So in terms of penalties given away, right, you can explain that. They just perform consistently well. You know what I mean? They're great. They're very good at the core skills, the basic stuff, getting those basic stuff well. The completion rate is high. Is always high, you know, and that ability to keep the pressure on, you know, and not do those silly enforced errors, silly penalties for frustration. That's rare in a Wigan side. Now, on the flip side, I can't explain that because you'd think, you know, the byproduct of all that pressure and the byproduct of that high completion rate would be more penalties given away by a frustrated opposition. That doesn't seem to be the case, so I can't explain it. Maybe people there in the comments could, but what are you saying?
I don't know.
It's hard to explain that.
It's just interesting where you see that, like the Hull KR, it's 30-13, so there's a massive swing there. Clearly, a home crowd is playing a massive part, and then you got Wigan at the bottom end of this table. It's just neutral.
Do you know what I'd pay good money to see?
What?
A 1 or 2 hour seminar where Matt Peake goes into these stats and explains what he thinks the reason for these stats are. I'd be really... And hosted by John Wells. I'd pay good money for that.
We'll host it.
Okay.
Should we make it happen?
What a great little workshop. Well, I think it'd be interesting.
We could make that happen.
I don't know what other people would think, but, you know, I'd love... Because I find it interesting when Matt Peake talks anyway.
Yeah.
You know. So to drill down into, you know, you look at like the Wigan documentary that's on Netflix and all that, you know, he says some really interesting stuff. Anyway, I'd really like to see that.
Let's make it happen then.
Right. Okay.
That's all I got to say on that.
No, we've got, so in terms of like the crowd having an effect, now we did a recent interview with Ian Smith, former referee, right? And now he spoke about how hostile it was at Knowsley Road. He said, I defy any bloody, you know, touch judge to run down the sideline at Knowsley Road with the crowd like
forward. That's all they ever used to shout,
and to not influence their decision. You know what I mean? I know it's very different times now with the video referee and all the cameras kicking about and everything, but you know it must have an effect. Of
course, it has an effect. Yeah, the referees, as professional as they are, they're only human, aren't they? So the crowd has got to sway them a little bit, and that's what I think that the one stat that does stand out here is that 9 sides out of 12 receive more penalties when they're at home. I wonder if the referees ever are going to these stats.
I think they do a lot of work on this kind of thing, you know, to be impartial. I think they've got to do a lot of work on, and even if they don't do it as a collective, I think as an individual you would expect them. I know like Chris Kendall tends to get a lot of shit because he's from Wigan, you know what I mean? He always seems to, you know, there's always that meme of Chris Kendall in a Wigan shirt, you know what I mean? But I don't think it's...
But fans they just latch onto anything, don't they? They'll any excuse for when their side's losing, they'll just latch onto it, and that's what's happening there. But I genuinely believe that the referees are very impartial.
So let's go back to the original story from this then. So Steve McNamara is saying that, you know, he's playing almost 3 sides here. There's him, there's the opposition, but there's also the crowd and the officials as well. So has he got a point? If he's sitting third here, has he got a point?
No. No, he ain't got a point, has he?
Well, I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
he ain't got a point. I think it's nonsense.
I think he's looking to pitch himself as the underdog or the hard done by, the victim.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot going on with Catalan at minute, and rumours that clubs don't want Catalan in the Super League, and he's probably playing on that a little bit. And if you're a head coach, you just want to deflect any sort of blame away from your own players, don't you? So I think he's just been quite smart, actually. I think he's giving something to the press. He's like, You run with that. Let's take the pressure off my players. Jose Mourinho used to in football all the time.
Yeah.
He knows what.
Right, okay, let's move on to the Williams Weekly then, and tackle number 6. And we want to go back to the Vegas trip. I want to give you some little bits of food for thought, because the second question you get is like, am I going to go to Vegas? The second question is, how much is it going to freaking cost me? Right. So we did a little quick Google search to come up with a bit of a package for the early bird people that want to get signed up and head out there. This is obviously without the price of tickets and all that kind of stuff. But I also want to use this opportunity to get some of your knowledge, Karl, and your experience having been there this year and truly experiencing everything that Vegas has to offer.
What do you want? Price of a pint?
We're going to come on to price in the bank. Don't ask, but do put your house on the market, because you're going to need some funds. Right, okay, so, Karl, let's have a little guess right now. Obviously, you don't know the figures I've got down here. How much do you reckon we can get a flight for? Bearing in mind, we're mega early. You know, we're almost a year in advance. So
Yeah.
10 months in advance or whatever it is. How much do you think we can get a flight for? By the way, not a direct flight. You pay a little bit extra, get a direct flight.
I've already looked at some direct flights.
Cheeky bastard.
Right, so if you book now, right now,
Yeah.
like, do it.
Yeah.
400 quid cheaper than I paid when I went out there last year.
Right, so what did you pay then?
I think it's about 1,200 quid I
You
paid
paid.
for hotel and flight.
Right. Well,
And then about $3,500 on beer. But yeah.
okay, so I picked out a couple of flights. There is a BA do a direct flight, okay, but it's considerably,
I didn't go
more
direct
expensive.
either.
No, it was the flight that I've picked out, and I've picked out with you in mind actually, is with Aer Lingus. Flies on the 24th of February. We're going to talk about that, the day to fly out, in a minute. Returning on the 3rd of March, so you get the game in and a couple of days to recover and do a bit of sightseeing, Area 51 and all that. £514.97 return. Right? But it's via Dublin, and you get a few hours in Dublin as well.
How many hours do you get in Dublin?
Well, some flights you get 7 hours, 14 minutes.
That's enough. That is enough hours to get to Temple Bar and
yeah, 7 hours 25 minutes, I think it was. Anyway, so yeah, Aer Lingus got some good deals. £514 for a flight to Vegas. So
is that long enough? 7 hours in Dublin.
it might be less actually with the Aer Lingus flights, but
You see, we flew to LA and we had like a 4-hour
layover.
and it was horrible.
Yeah, 4 hours. It's not long enough and
It was
and not
horrible.
short enough.
Yeah, it was, and the worst part about it was we flew over Vegas to fly to LA,
Yeah.
knowing that we had to fly back. it was terrible.
Right, in terms of like the actual flight dates, so I picked out the 24th.
Yeah, what's that?
Well, that's the Tuesday before the game. The game's on the 28th, so you're like 4 days in advance, right?
Yeah,
Now,
that's about right. That is.
why? Why would you recommend it?
Because there's a lot of events that happen. Rather than staying there after the event's finished, you literally the game ends on the Saturday or whatever, and you just want to get home on the Sunday, because there's not anything rugby wise that happens after that, unless you want to go sightseeing in Grand Canyon and all that sort of. But there's a lot of events that happen on the run up to the big game. So like, I can't remember what day it was. I think it was the Wednesday. There was the Fremont Street parade. So there's like a massive stage in like the old Vegas, and all the teams get presented. They get brought out in like all the fans descend on there. It's absolutely crazy. There's just all sorts going on. And I arrived as that event was happening. So by the time we got there, we'd kind of missed the main.
Right.
The main sort of party. So you want to get there that day before. Go to the Fremont Street night if it's like the night before. Yeah, it's awesome.
And then in terms of return, so I've got the return there the following Tuesday, so it's the 3rd of March, which will obviously it'll give you like 3 and a bit days after the event to kind of recover. Good move, or need longer?
I mean, it's a long way to fly because we only spent 4 nights out. Yeah, 4 nights, and literally there was so much going on. We barely slept for 4 days, and we were just like, right, we're going to this event, we're going to that event, we're going to this. So yeah, I think if you're going for a week, it's a little bit more relaxing, but my God, you've got to have some deep pockets, mate, because once you're on that strip, there ain't nowhere to eat that's cheap. There's nowhere to drink that's cheap. It costs an absolute fortune.
We'll come on to eating and drinking in a minute, but let's talk about hotel accommodation. So if I remember rightly, you were staying more or less on the strip. You got a pretty good location with your hotel. I don't know how much you paid for it, but I've picked out the Super 8 by Wyndham Las Vegas, which is on the North Strip, Fremont Street area. £374 for the 7 days, and that's a double room, so you can actually bunk with your mate as well, but albeit it's a queen size bed. You know what I mean? But a bit of top and tail, or a bit of big spoon, little spoon. You know what I mean?
If you want to save a bit of money, yeah, they're the lengths that you're going to go to. Yeah, I mean that's a little bit. Fremont Street's a little bit of a way out of the stadium. We stayed at the Luxor and the Excalibur, which are right next to each other. You can literally walk to the ground. The stadium is like on the other side of the strip, so you can like walk through the hotels. All the hotels are all connected, by the way. It's like you never know which one you're in. It's like a maze, and you can just walk straight to the ground. So that's good. You save on your taxi fares and all that there. If I was going to do it again, which I might do it again, I'd potentially look at staying off the strip, because the money you'll save eating and drinking off the strip.
Yeah,
it'll surely it'll far outweigh what you pay in taxes.
Well, I haven't included breakfast in this because, you know, for me, when I go on a trip, I like to head out of the hotel and have breakfast in the local area. But do you think it'd be a good move to get a hotel with breakfast included and perhaps save money on that most important meal of the day, apparently?
Yeah, I do. If you're on the strip, you're just in the big hotel casinos, and everything just costs a fortune, mate. It's so expensive. I reckon if you're just off the strip, I bet you ain't gonna go far, and I bet the price drops. Even if the price doesn't drop considerably, the money you'll save on eating and drinking and like your breakfast and all that lot, I reckon you'll save a lot of money. So that'd be my like little top tip, that would.
Okay, anything else that we should cover, like must see, must do for the Vegas event? Obviously, there'll be new things introduced for 2026, but you know, what you thinking?
I went to an event, the Vegas Nines, and it wasn't that popular, and most of the fans that went there didn't go to the Vegas Nines, but that for me was one of the best days of the trip. We just hung around with a lot of there was a lot of local American teams were taking part in it. There was some like NRL legends playing in this Vegas Nines. It was really chilled out. It was serving beer out of cooler bottles, and you weren't having to pay $20 for a pint. You could get a pint for a few dollars. Saved us loads of money, and just chilling out watching rugby. It was great. So yeah, if anyone's going, go to the Vegas Nines. It's really decent event.
Right. Okay. So lots going on. Right, Cal. Any final afterburners? Then it's been a bumper show. Anything else to add?
Yes, our prediction show is live. We're getting loads of traction on that. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger every week, and you lot just appear to love giving us a load of shit when we're getting stuff wrong. So yeah, we've done it again. We're probably going to get a load of predictions wrong. Let's see what you think.
Okay. So until the next video, take care.